Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third night of definitive old school Ring of Honor reviews. Tonight we are taking a look at Glory by Honor Remastered, which took place on October 5th, 2002. This is the first Glory by Honor event that was hosted by Ring of Honor. This one starts out with not a match, but a promo for the entire event, highlighting the entrances and moves we might see tonight. But geez, man, it seemed like somebody found Windows Movie Maker for the first time and used all the effects, intros, and fonts that they can find in like 30 minutes. Nonetheless, it did show me what I was in store for tonight. Your first match for the evening is Divine or Quiet Storm. Again, what the hell is going on? There's a difference between what they actually show when they come out compared to what's on the box. Versus Special K versus Homicide versus SAT. Now, I might have said just Homicide, and you thought that might have been a mistake, but it wasn't. Homicide's partner was taken out at Unscripted, so refreshingly, he's not taken out of this match, but decided to go into this match alone, while everybody else obviously has a partner. At the start of this match, Special K refuses the handshake and just gets beaten down. On top of that, their manager gets a moonsault opportunity. Nice one, Special K. Off the heels of that, and Special K is back at it, and it's easy to notice, especially in their baggy clothes going all over the place, that they are very on key with their offense. I wonder why they ever stopped as a team, or in general. I'll have to look into that. The match, unfortunately, at times, is stunted by SAT. They're usually alright. Something's off with their chemistry tonight, I think. But Homicide is shining with no partner. There's a spot in the middle of this that doesn't look too damning. STF, crossface, and tap machine all at once, but still, even though it doesn't look stiff and doesn't look like it's damaging anybody, it's still entertaining because the crowd pops for it. Everybody then takes it to the outside, and that slows things down for a bit. Back in the ring, we get a top rope lariat, and both men flip, not just the victim, which is really cool to see. Up to this point, I've only seen two matches of Special K, but they're both very nimble and impressive. I know I said this before, but when I see something I like to talk about it. There's a dive to the outside by Homicide, and not only do his opponents go down, but the guardrail and the front row. Everybody in the front row. Showing of dominance, am I right? At this point, the perfect word for this match is a scramble. Springboard corkscrews, a multi-man suplex from the top rope, and a moonsault dropkick by Special K. But unbelievably, Homicide rolls in and gets the win. This match was pretty damn good for an opener. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and Homicide won. Next, after the match, the Backseat Boys come in. They're from Combat Zone Wrestling, CZW, and challenge Homicide to a tag team match because they want to see who's going to come out and help him. They want to prove themselves. They want to prove that CCW is better than Ring of Honor. Lo and behold, Steve Corino shows up. Homicide and Steve Corino versus Backseat Boys. One of them, I later learned on, was Trent Acid. And I knew Trent Acid. I did watch a few of his matches when, sadly, he was still alive. And it kind of made me sad watching him and watching that match once I recognized who he was. Considering they're all borderline heels, it wasn't surprising, but still kind of to see the Ring of Honor guys do the cheap shot during the handshake. Ace Crusher by CCW, just the one from Homicide in the 3 count. Chair comes into play, and Homicide flips to the outside to Trans Acid, who was just taking a breather and sitting down. It wasn't really planned to see. How are you going to kick a man when he's down like that? Unfortunately, Carino, for all that he's giving, he looks a little ghastly. He looks like he shouldn't really be dare I say, wrestling at this point in time. Even though he does go on, he just seems a little tired tonight. There's a cosmic atomic from the Backseat Boys, followed up by some severe miscommunication from Carino and Homicide, which prompts Carino to just leave, and the boys get the victory. If you come out to help Homicide, but then you're the one who incites the miscommunication, that's really dumb on your part. Don't come out then, okay? Just don't come out. This match, because of that weird angle that they did with Carino, and the match itself wasn't that great because Homicide was already tired from the first match he did, I gave it a 2 out of 5. Homicide just lays there in the ring while the Backseat Boys celebrate. Now we have Christopher Street Connection and Allison Danger with the Japanese pool boy versus Joey Matthews and Christian York with Alexis LeRae, who is Mickey James. Crowd is really hot for this one. Has to be the heel lead because the face team seems to be randomly put together. Japanese pool boy interferes like right off the bat, which gets the crowd even hotter. Not only that, but we got flamboyancy out and about tonight. Great, we're gonna get a riot. Match is what you expect, much more show and tell than actual sequencing or anything like that. The rhythm is off from both teams in the middle of the match, even though Matthews and York get some offense in, as well as Alexis LeRae for that matter. Christopher Street Connection gets the win with the Gay Basher. Yes, that's what their finisher is called. This match got a 2 out of 5 as well, and the Christopher Street Connection won. Japanese Pool Boy then gets beat up by York and Christian, pent up frustration about not winning their match. Excuse me, James Maritato cuts a promo speaking about the history of the FBI, explaining why he wants to drop the FBI gimmick. Time to get rid of comedy and time to finally get serious, he says. Tony Mamaluke versus James Maritato. Mamaluke wins, the FBI gimmick stays, otherwise if Maritato wins, the FBI gimmick is gone. They go through with the handshake, but once again, Maritato turns around, Mamaluke hits him on his back. At the bell, we get real heavy with the mat work. Back and forth submissions for a while, and then a standoff. The crowd pops. Mat work still, and even some gritty shuffling around, desperate to get the upper hand sort of stuff. Both men, for a time, just work on their knees with arm strikes. It's really gritty at this point. Again, we're getting the type of match where we see a future WWE star shine more on the indies than they ever did in the Big E. These guys are putting on a clinic. A Sicilian slice by Maritato brings the first close full, and this was in the later half of the match. I can't tell if there was a botch by Mamaluke or it was intentional, but it snapped me out of the suspense for a second. Last minute superplex into submission before Mamaluke gets the win. Now, on the basis of being a technical clinic sort of match, I gave it a 3 out of 5. But if that weird moment didn't take place, I would have given it a 4. And that's a crazy score when it comes to this match that was on the lower card of the night. I gave this match a 3 out of 5, and Tony Mamaluke won. The next match we had was Hidaka versus Amazing Red. Handshake, code of honor, very nice. Nip up, quick to do, beginning sequence. Hidaka's really fast. Both men end up outside of the ring, but Red respectfully motions for Hidaka to get back inside the ring, and he follows Red. Very nice moment. Back inside, even offense from both parties. Hidaka's working on Red's legs. Good thing, Hidaka. Red's all about the flippy shit. Can't do flippy shit without the legs. If I remember correctly, Hidaka goes for a tornado DDT off the top rope, but his legs get caught in the ropes. Red on the offense now, and goes for a dive onto Hidaka, but flies over him and over the guardrail and into the crowd. Flawless step kick by Red. This is not the first time Red does a step kick in the events that I've watched, and every time it looks so smooth. It looks so flawless. There's a very nice ending sequence that we're all pulled into believing is the end. Hidaka closing it with a bridge pin, but only a 2. Red does the infrared to get the pin, so he wins, but you can see that his boot coming down goes right into Hidaka's eye, and his face is all swelled up by the match. And after the pin, Red actually goes over to him, like, "Oh shit, my apologies, man." What a way to go back to Japan. 3.5 out of 5. Now, like I've told you with the first review I did about Don Juan and Fast Eddie. Now this was their introductory match, I suppose. It was Don Juan versus Fast Eddie for the ETW Television Championship title. Again, very respectful with the handshake. Fast Eddie, even though at this point in time I've never heard of him before and never after these batch of DVDs that I'm reviewing, he has a nice physique. Reminds me of AJ Styles, along with his moveset. The commentators inform us that Fast Eddie is legally blind more than once. That is crazy if true. Fast Eddie pulls off a moonsault off the top rope, skims his leg on the fence. Well, he is blind. Ace Crusher by Don Juan looks impressive, but a backflip knee off the top rope, followed by a fallaway slam, secures the win for Fast Eddie. If it wasn't for the very slight offense that Don Juan put in, I would have called this a squash match. Short, impressive showing for Fast Eddie. I'm not sure if he was ever signed by Ring of Honor. 2.5 out of 5. Michael Shane and Biohazard then run in and beat up both. Michael Shane gets chased around the ring by Rude Boy Gonzalez, who came to the ring for the Don Juan Fast Eddie match. He was the teacher of both of them, so he was a manager for both of them, which is odd. Rude Boy Gonzalez chases around Michael Shane, who was out there for the preceding match, watching both men. He was the owner, like I said, of the wrestling school they came from. Steve Corino then comes out and rips Gonzalez back and forth with his words, and this makes Steve Corino versus Rude Boy Gonzalez in a Texas death match. Remember when I said Carrillo looked gassed in the previous match he was in? Well, in this one, he really doesn't get any better, and now he's bleeding like a pig, as he usually does. Texas deathmatch rules. One has to get the pin, and then a 10 count on top. So all in all, the pin is now a 13 count. Go to the outside, and Rudy Boy, is thrown over the guardrail with chairs all over his back. The crowd hates Carino, really going and spitting and hating all over him. The commentators actually label Carino as the Legend Killer. Sound familiar? Besides brawling on the outside for a bit, then coming back in, and Rudy Boy getting a crowbar sleeper by Carino, which knocks him out for an instant win. 13 count is thrown out. Nothing really much this one. A 2 out of 5, Carino wins. Handshake to end the match with everybody in the ring, only to be followed by middle fingers by Rude Boy, and then he gets beat up by Carino and his pack. Paul London comes in, fends off attackers, and then proceeds to set up a ladder on the turnbuckle, fly off of it, and hit the heels while they're trying to walk away on the outside floor. He rams Shane over the guardrail and into the crowd, into the audience. Even though we did see the spot with I think it was unscripted, I want to say, which took me out just a little bit because I did see the spot before. Still very impressive in that little turn of events, and I still marked out. Now, we have the match of the night. Samoa Joe, the hired assassin from the prophecy, versus Low Ki, and this is a fight without honor. When you see the names that are going to be in this fight, you absolutely know what you're in for. Both come into this match with fighting poses, elbow strikes, and dead-on headbutts to start. Chop sequences from both men get the crowd intense and into the fight. Strike heavy for a while until a pin is actually gone for by Joe, and Low Ki kicks out of one. Pin on Samoa Joe, only on a one as well. Low Ki then grabs hold of Joe and locks in a UFC-style submission, the commentators call. Then we get to a back and forth with brutal face slaps. One, 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 one. Even with the cameras not being great in 2002, we can still see the redness starting to show, so I can only imagine what it looked like if you were actually there. Samoa Joe scores a power bomb, which he then turns into an STF. There's a back suplex, which lands right on the head/neck. There's no two ways about that one. We're late into the match, and they start another sequence, but this time, stiff kicks to the back from the boot, and neither man sells it. Right after that, the ending is what makes this match the best of the night in my book. Joe is on the verge of making a comeback, and he starts off with this immense lion roar, but then he just outright collapses. And for me, I've never seen that before, and that really helped this to boost this match to a 5 out of 5. Low key wins. They proceed to shake hands, and then they hold up a 0-1 banner. It's a wrestling promotion or a wrestling tournament, if I remember correctly, and that really made the whole match iffy to me. Even though I will keep my 5 out of 5 star rating, it's like, oh, you did this whole match just so you can tease what's gonna happen in that tournament. That really, that really made it iffy for me. During what seems to be intermission, we have Prince Nana versus a fan, no rating, maybe a point 0.5. Dunn and Marcus come out to confront Prince Nana, but the big man with the shades comes out again, and even Prince Nana runs. He ends up chokeslamming both Dunn and Marcus, then puts his back to the wall in the audience and proceeds to watch the rest of the show. There you had your little own intermission. Jay Briscoe versus Xavier. Xavier is Ring of Honor champion, but this is a non-title match. No code of honor here, folks. All about mat work surprisingly in the beginning. There's a nasty looking leg lock from Xavier and good back and forth. Again, we're having a clinic put on here. It just seems like the Mameluke Maritado bout, and to compare those two, that's crazy in itself. But considering we just saw a physical torture show, this is also much tamer in comparison. Briscoe misses dive to Xavier on the guardrail, hits head on the guardrail instead, and the bump looks nasty. Between the last show and this, the guardrail is always breaking. Poor Ring of Honor is always footing the bill for these things. Inverted DDT from the top rope by Briscoe, 2. Clutch suplex by Xavier, 2. Jay Briscoe gets an upset victory over Xavier. His Jay Driller finishing move seems very protected. While it was a good but slow match, it seemed to be more story driven, especially with the ending here. 3 out of 5. Jay Briscoe won, but he didn't win the title, which I know what they're going for. They're obviously building Jay Briscoe up at this point in time, but still, it's like he could have won the title. Why couldn't you just do the title match there? The crowd would have popped even more than they did. Next up, we have the Carnage Crew versus the Hit Squad. Falls, counts, anywhere. With the Carnage Crew looking at the entrance ramp, the Hit Squad comes in through the back entrance. A guardrail is broken down again, once again, and used in the ring. The veto of the Carnage Crew's mouth is busted open amidst all the weapons being used. They're all heavy men, and one of them does a dive to the outside, causing another guardrail to be destroyed, as well as another front row. In the crowd, they are not afraid to go, and there is no hope left for a front row chair formation any longer. There are multiple chair shots to the head. What we know now about these makes me cringe every time I see one of these happen. All the brawling they are doing in the crowd, entire chair sections are lost. Someone did a lot of reforming quickly after this match. Tombstone pile driver through what seems to be a back merchandise table secures the Carnage Crew to win. They are really playing the table spot though. The Hit Squad member that was put through, I didn't catch his name, seems to be injured. Personnel as well as other Ring of Honor wrestlers come out to see if he's okay, including Homicide. I give the match a 3 out of 5, and the Carnage Crew wins. Now we have two more matches. Your second to last match of the night was Spanky versus Michael Shane versus Paul London in an elimination match. Spanky jumps Shane and London dropkicks Shane right off the bat. Looks like this might be a handicap match for a while until things inevitably break down. They're both taking hits on Shane until one sneakily goes for the pin. Now they go at each other in a legit three-way. London vaults off Spanky into a shooting star press that lands right on Shane. There's also a nice skin-to-cat baseball slide combo. Brawl turns to the outside of the ring, and Shane shoves the guardrail onto Spanky's throat. And he coughs up a little blood. Not enough to make the thing gruesome, though, just to show how severe the spot was, and I respect that. The three-way brawl on the outside ironically slows things down. Back in the ring, Shane once again tries the tried and true trick of taking the pin on London after Spanky does his finisher. Things slow down for the 1v1. Once again, a guardrail gets pummeled when Shane gets thrown into it. The 1v1 goes on for a while. We get elbow drops, frog splashes, sliced breads, counters after counters, until inevitably Michael Shane gets the win. I give this match a 3 out of 5. Your main event of the evening is Christopher Daniels versus Doug Williams. Handshake at stake match here. Okay? The stipulation here is that if Doug Williams loses, he has to stop shaking hands with any opponents he has for the rest of his Ring of Honor career. No more Code of Honor for him. Oh boy. If Williams wins, Christopher Daniels has to shake hands from here on out when it comes to the rest of his Ring of Honor career. But that doesn't really happen though, because I watched an event from 2006 and he doesn't shake hands. So they forgot about that. But until then, the tactics of cheating continues. Simply Luscious right off the bat grabs Williams' legs when he tries to swing off the rope. There's a nice sequence at the beginning which turns into a pinning submission for Daniels, which he easily reverses though. Match is submission heavy for a while, which I think Williams enjoys. A lot of the mat work here as well, storytelling with targeting body parts. Commentators are on this like flies on water. Nice floating DDT. Doug Williams is a big guy, but he is great with his agility. Moonsault by Daniels, only a 2. Chaos Theory by Williams, by Daniels, gets the rope. Daniels wins with the cheating. Legs on the rope, holding down Williams for the pin. 3 out of 5. Daniels wins. Togo, who is the oddball out, and Jay Briscoe come out and beat up Daniels. Togo using a crutch that he has, and Jay with the Jay Driller. Daniels gets help out of the ring by Simply Luscious. Promo on the stairwell to end the show off by Maritato and Mama Luke. Endearing, ending, and symbolic. Maritato pulls a name out of the hat by saying, "How do you think Dean," as in Dean Malenko, "feels watching you be comedic?" But they end up on good terms and they both walk their separate ways. Maritato out the door on the lower level and Mamaluke up the stairs. Ironic that Maritato is grilling Mamaluke for this the whole time. Meanwhile, he is going to go the route of comedy in WWE for a while. I mean, he's going to go as serious as WWE lets him, but he's still in that comedic region, if you remember correctly. Now, to actually end the night off, because I thought that was the end, but it's not, there is a promo by The Prophecy. A lot of people in this one. Xavier, Daniels, Samoa Joe, Simply Luscious at first, then Carino, Michael Shane and Xavier square off. Carino, Joe, and Shane go off in one way to hang out for the rest of the night, while Daniels, Simply Luscious, and Xavier head off in another. I like how Daniel's stable is called The Prophecy, but like ironically enough, there's always people coming into his group, going out, never mind the tension between the members that are a part of the prophecy in the moment. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. That has been my definitive review of the first Glory by Honor event that was hosted by Ring of Honor. Have a good night and sleep tight. At the end of every video, there's a random quote I'm just gonna shoot at you. Thanks for listening.